All right. Good morning. I am so glad to be with you today. I see that we are live. My little box is telling me, although it looks like it's a little time delay. So I'm not sure what you're seeing, which is usually the case. But I am glad to be here with you. And those of you who are new joining in, and I'm always looking to add and invite new people to come join us. So I'm Delinda Lane, and this is Tuesday Morning Live. And I'm just really, like I said, glad to be back with you today. So, one of the things the main topic of today is what do you do when you don't feel like it? So, let me ask you first. Let me see if I can find the actual chat box over here and see if it's going to show me the chat because I would really love to see what you guys might like to say in here this morning. The question is mainly is have you ever felt that way? You know what I mean? Have you ever just have something you want to, well, something you know that you want to do or that's important to do, but you just don't feel like it. Because I think a lot of times we do things even when we don't feel like it. And that's important because sometimes I don't know the weather. We've got another one of these rainy days. We've kind of had rainy weekend here in Kansas City. And some days, I don't know, it's rainy and the barometric pressure is down and you just don't feel like doing whatever it was you wanted to do. That happens to me a lot. I'm just going to be really honest with you. On rainy kind of days, I'm a real sunshine girl. So on kind of rainy days, I like them, but I'm not as productive on those days, mainly because I'd rather sit and read a book or watch a movie or just sit in my favorite chair. So sometimes I have to ask myself, Delinda, are you just getting lazy? Do you ever feel that way? Like, oh my gosh, I'm just getting lazy. I don't want to do anything. I don't feel like it. And that's the operative thing. So as we let everybody get signed on, again, I'm still looking and hoping to find a place where the chat is on, and I am not seeing that on my screen. So I'm not sure what to do about that. So I guess we'll not guess, we are going to proceed and continue. And just know that I will read your comments when it's all done. And so that sometimes is the only way I see them is after you've already posted them, even though that's not what I would prefer. I'd rather just see them right away. So I'm going to give it one more chance here to see if possibly I can actually see your comments this morning. So, but nope, I don't see it on my live page over there. All right. So, what do you do? So, I found that you ask yourself these three questions. If you're kind of feeling that I don't feel like it, or you even hear yourself either inside your head or out loud, somebody in your family say, well, Mom, I thought you were going to do da da da. And you say, oh, I just don't feel like it today. Or you know that you heard your kids or husband or spouse say something to that same effect. Oh, I just really don't feel like that. Oh, we were going to clean the garage. Oh, I don't feel like that today. Now, in the scheme of things, that might not be a big deal, but sometimes it's important to look at that if it has to do with your work and maybe a project that you need to get done at work or something that's really important. Some of the times we don't feel like it and it's not that big a deal. So here are three questions that I hope will help you with that. And I think it's important to look at because sometimes there really are reasons why we don't feel like it, right? So the first question is, what am I actually feeling? Acknowledge what you're feeling and kind of reconnect with yourself and be honest with yourself. Say, what am I feeling? Am I feeling depressed? Am I feeling sad? Am I just feeling lack of energy? So acknowledge that. And, what is it that you're actually feeling? And then the next question that kind of goes with the what is why? Why am I feeling that? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling like lethargic and don't want to do anything? Well, that also is a really important question because sometimes there really are reasons that are making you feel that way. It's not just made up and you're being lazy. So be nice to yourself. I have to catch, like I said, I have to catch myself on that every so often, especially in the last 6 months when you know that I've been caretaking my mother. And she's now she's happy. She's in her happy place in her new apartment. She's just thrilled. But in the last 6 months when she was here, it was totally a big interruption into our normal life, as you would guess. But I found myself a lot of days because my schedule became consumed with everything about her. her appointments, talking to the doctors, doing the errands, taking her out so that she gets out of the house, that oftentimes I just didn't feel like doing anything else. I mean, that was just my mind and my heart, everything was consumed with that particular thing. And you might have that too. So I think that's why it's important to look at, uh, why am I feeling that way? Well, a lot of that time, I know why I did, because it was all about taking care of my mother and trying to keep the balance in the family and the kids still coming over and picking up Henry after school every day, that I just didn't feel like doing, getting on Facebook for one. I didn't feel or had the energy to do the show on Tuesday morning. So when I asked myself that question, I really looked at things. Then I realized, okay, so what can I do about it? Because the first question was, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling that? And you're wise. There might be other extenuating circumstances, just maybe what's going on in the world, and you're watching so much news that it's making you feel depressed. Maybe you're, someone in your family, or maybe you are sick. Maybe there's actually a physical illness in the family somewhere that does make a difference on that. Maybe you're just in fatigue and burnout, and I wasn't exactly burnout up until towards the end, and then I realized that I kind of was. What other distractions are in your life? All of those come under that heading of, why am I feeling that way? Somehow when we look at them, it's easier to manage, because like, oh, well, no wonder I feel that way. Okay, I'm going to give myself a break. And sometimes that's just enough to spark you into doing something, that maybe one little step towards that. And then, is it real? Are any of those reasons that you're writing down, it's a rainy day? Yes, it's a rainy day, but is that really something that should stop you? Probably not. The fact that you're, tired because you're caregiving for somebody else, that is real. And it's just owning up to that and say, okay, well, this is a real thing, and I'm going to give myself a break. And that's what I did. So during that time, this last 6 months, I just gave myself permission to focus on the most important thing, which was my mother, and then allow myself to just be. And sometimes I would just sit in my chair and just relax and rest while she was maybe napping or something, and not feel like I had to be doing something every minute and keeping the same pace that I had, that I have before she came to live with us. So if you ask yourself, what am I feeling? What is it? As I said, the depression, what is it, that actual feeling that you have? Why am I feeling? What's going on around the world? What's going on in my life and in my family? And really get a clear picture of that. Is it real? Sometimes it is a real reason. Sometimes it's just not really a real or important reason. But I just think anytime we're honest with ourselves in anything that we're doing, we always come out better on the other side, instead of just pretending that it's not real, pretending that, I mean, I could say, well, no, nothing's wrong. I'm perfectly fine, la la. And just sometimes that's not the truth. So being really real and truthful with yourself is real important. So, but there are some things. And then the third question within all of that, or the next question is, so what can I do differently? What can I choose to do differently to maybe change this feeling that I have? Well, as I said, for me, I had to give myself permission to let some of the things go so that I could really focus on taking care of my mother. And that's just my particular instance. So you look at your life and you look when those things happen, and usually they're for short periods of time. You wake up one day and you just don't feel like it. And that, those are usually a little easier to manage, but sometimes it's not. Maybe something did happen in your sphere of influence to someone, and you didn't know that it would hit you that hard. Maybe something, diagnosis on something, and you didn't know how that would hit you. But I think when you look at it and you realize it, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm always having to give myself permission. Now, I'm not sure where that comes from. Could be a little bit of control issues that I do have, or it could be that I try not to be a perfectionist, because I know I'm not perfect anyway. But sometimes in my striving to be better, I oftentimes will really put a guilt trip on myself, or I'll beat myself up about something, and that does no good. Y'all know that, right? So take it from me, it does no good to do that. And beating up on yourself just makes it worse and makes you feel worse. So let it go, let it go. And then the thing is, the main thing that I have found is just to do something. It might not even be related to what it is that you're wanting to do, that work project or whatever thing it is that you don't feel like doing, whatever that thing is. Do some action, and maybe, so first of all, you always can pray about it. Praying is really good. Pray all the time. Jesus is there, he's listening. And maybe it's just something that you need to just work out on your knees. But then again, it could be something that you need real action. So if I could see the chat box, which I can't, but I would love it if y'all would post it and I'll go back later and respond. So what is something that you do? Do you have an action, or something you do when you just don't feel like doing whatever it is you're supposed to do or think you're supposed to do? So I made a short list of things, and I really am looking forward to seeing what you all have to say about that. So one of the things is like, get up out of your chair. Okay, so get up out of the chair. Maybe you need to just get out of the house. And I did find that, and more so in Las Vegas, because every day was a beautiful day. So like here with the rain and what that we have, I'm still adjusting. Can y'all tell? I am still adjusting to this weather change around here. I like I said, I like the rain and all, but it doesn't motivate me very much. So in Vegas, by the middle of the afternoon, I could always feel myself getting really listless and kind of not really down as much as just kind of tired of being at the computer. And then I could just literally walk out the door, no jacket, no coat, just walk outside and go walk around the block, or just walk down the street, or go check the mail, something to change the environment. So I think that's really important. So maybe if you're working at your desk, maybe you just need to, now, this may not sound like a fun thing to go do, but sometimes I find it just helps just to get out of, leave my desk and go in the kitchen. And maybe this is called, okay, I have a really good word for this: creative avoidance. Okay, not procrastination, but creative avoidance. So, you could go in and just empty the dishwasher, because it changes, it gets your body moving. You do. Maybe you go put a load of clothes in the wash. That's the nice thing about working from home, right? You can do those little things. But if you do them too much, now you're not doing any of your work. So that's another topic about that, of not doing that to avoid the work or to avoid that. But those are things. The other thing is, put some really good music on. Listen to some music, put some praise songs on, and like, praise you, Lord. Put some praise songs on, or put some rock and roll on. And my little grandson, Henry, was here this morning, and he was doing this little dance, and I see all the kids doing this. And I said, what is that little dance? And you take your fingers like this. You've probably seen your kids or your grandkids doing it, and they put their eyes and they're bringing it down, and then they're moving their whole body up and down, up and down. I know this looks so cute, right? But it was so funny, and he was laughing at me and I was laughing at him, and that alone will shake things up. So do a little dance in the living room. Take take a pen or a brush and sing into the imaginary microphone. Things like that it actually gets your body moving. It kind of shakes things up, and it does something to your brain. It like explodes your brain, lets your brain rest. It gets it out of that funk. Like I said, get out of the house, take a walk. You can take a walk and pray at the same time. What a thing. Or you could, do like you say, do an exercise, something like that. I'm not saying something that has to take you an hour or even 30 minutes, but sometimes if you're just feeling a little bit in that funk and you just don't feel like doing that next thing. And then the other thing I would suggest in that regard, so after you've been moving around on something, is just to do one little part. If you're looking at a big project, so right now I'm starting to put a course together, and as I put it together, it can seem, because I've looked at doing this before, and the truth was I got so overwhelmed with it that I never did finish it. I know. Hey, y'all get to hear all my faults and my crazy things. So, but I tried before, like maybe a year ago. Oh, I know what happened. I moved, and then that threw me all out of kilter, and I never got back to it. So that was my reason and or excuse for not finishing the course. But I'm back to starting the course, but it does seem overwhelming. But I've decided this time, and this is my advice to all of you, is to just take a little part of it. So my fun part was I got on AI. So the AI that I'm using is called Gigi. So I talked to Gigi and I said, so Gigi, here's what I'm looking at doing a course on, this ABC. I'm not telling y'all right now, but I will, don't worry. And I said, so how about some titles? What would be some good titles? 'Cause I am so about titles. Sometimes not having a title will hold me back forever because I have to have a name. Like right now, I'm deciding if I'm going to make a new name for our Tuesday morning live. Right now, it's pretty easy. I'm kind of doing a little thing from the heart. Before it was, Delinda and Friends, Faith Talk, but whatever it is, it's always Tuesday morning live. So it might just stay Tuesday morning live. But so anyway, for the course, and oh my goodness, she gave me so many great choices. And I love that. So that got me excited. Do y'all see what I'm saying? I'm trying to give you an idea of how this can break that monotony, how that can break down that I don't feel like it feeling. Because our feelings, y'all, our feelings are so passing. We are emotional people. I would say as women, we definitely are. Everything affects us in some way, and that is a really good thing. And I really believe God uses that for us to keep our hearts soft so we can relate to other people, so we can make a difference in the world as we're shining our light. But when we don't feel like doing something that we feel, when we know that we want or need to do a particular thing and we don't feel like it, how do we get around that? So that's what we're talking about. So just take a small part of it. So whatever it is, so maybe, like me, you just needed a title. Maybe you're writing a book and you think, well, what am I going to call this book? Now, sometimes you wait till the end. Sometimes you do the project and at the end, the title just comes to you because that's what it is. Sometimes just break it down. When I was in Mary Kay, one of the great expressions we had and the sayings we used is that you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. So if you break down your task or this thing you're looking at that's kind of got you in a funk, just take a small piece of it. Maybe just do an outline. So what are the 5 things that you want somebody to know? Let's say you're in your business and you're just not wanting to work on this next phase. What are 5 things or 3 things? What are 3 things you want everybody to know about your product or your mission? So come up with those 3. And what happens is it triggers your brain. Now, my friend Lynn Franklin, she has studied neuroscience and she'd be able to tell me why that works, but I just know that it does. So if I come up with my 3, well, usually by the time it's like, well, I want to say this and this and this, then already my brain is triggered, starting to think of what am I going to fill in the blanks? What am I going to fill in after that first one? So as you look at breaking down your thing, just do it in small bites, and then you'll be able to get back to it with more clarity, more enthusiasm. And if it's something that's really, as I was telling you earlier, if it was something like I was in, where you're really having to give your time and your energy to something else that's not maybe your passion project or your next book or your next course, maybe you look at the reality of it. You ask why you feel that way, look at your circumstances, and give yourself permission to just put it on the shelf for a little bit until you finish that main priority thing that you're working on right now. So again, be honest with yourself, look at the choices you have, then do a little action. So get up and vacuum the floor. No, that is something I will not do. Have I ever told y'all before that vacuuming is my least favorite thing to do? I will put it off until the nth degree, not to have to vacuum the floor. I don't mind dusting. I don't even mind cleaning the bathrooms, but I don't like to vacuum. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. The reason is because as we were growing up, every Saturday, we couldn't do anything. My mother would love this story. We couldn't do anything until we had our chores done. And mine was always, I had to do the vacuuming. My sister did the dusting, and then we had to share the bathrooms or something. I don't remember that part. All I know is that every Saturday morning of most of my life, I had to vacuum. So now I rebel. I'm still rebelling in my Oh, you guys, thanks for being with me here today. I hope this has maybe helped you a little bit, helped you look at things, because I believe we all get in the funk. Every so often, we just don't feel like doing something, and so let's just look at it and be real. Ask ourselves, well, what is it, and why am I feeling this way, and is it real? Am I just making this up? Am I just being lazy? And if you really feel that and you do that very often, you may have a health issue you need to look at. Maybe you need to take some vitamins or, go do some exercise, whatever that looks like. But do some action and then start whatever that is in just small steps as you go. So I'm going to close this morning and I'm going to go back to my favorite thing right now is I just love the thought that you were chosen. We are all chosen. And before the beginning of time, God chose us. So you are chosen, just like the disciples were. You are chosen. So now what are you going to do with that? I'm going to invite you to choose to go out and make a difference in the world using the gifts that God gave you. All right, everybody. Thank you. Love you. And I will see you next time. Bye now.